we're praying that our children will have a boring testimony. That our children will be like, you know what, I've known Christ since I was 5. Like, and that is their testimony, and that is enough.
Goes back to even God. That God loves us as his own soul. That he gave up him. Let's say he gave up himself. Because Jesus is God personified.
Yeah.
He gave up himself to ensure that we are not doomed. So if you think about that level of sacrifice, you have to think twice before entering a covenant with someone.
God is the center of everything. Like, it doesn't mean, you know, if you feel like having a cafe cake when God said don't eat sugar, you won't do it. But
why am I receiving jabs randomly?
hi, I'm Wachuka Minor.
Hi, I'm Abbie Kimani.
And
welcome back to the Unashamedly Saved podcast.
So in the previous episode, in closing, you were like, what did you say? You're like, oh, you know, when I prayed for a friend, I didn't imagine that I'd be a friend with Madame Bougie. Please, I want to hear with the rest of the audience. Explain.
Explain what? That you're bougie, Amma?
No, just the whole... Yeah, I didn't know you were
No.
friends with Madame Bougie and what Madame Bougie... Like, I'm not bougie. Okay, yeah, so then the fact that you disagree, yeah, let's start there.
I feel like you are bougie. And bougie not in... You see the way... I will say... Tuseme, when ni rich kid, hiyo ni kukua bougie.
But that means you're judging me based on the family I was born into. That's not a
I'm
personal...
not judging you, but like you are... Let me not your personality, but the way... What I'm saying, like it's not... I'm not judging you. It's just like who you are. And it's not a bad thing.
Okay, but still, I'm still stuck on the Madame Bougie part. Like, explain how I'm Madame Bougie.
Acha niseme number one, wewe na kubagain. Hey, madam. Yeah. But like, I think just in everyday life,
Okay.
yeah, the way you approach everyday life, I'm like, hey, whichever reality you live in, I can promise you is not the one we live in. Yeah.
Yeah, but also, I feel like that's not me being bougie. Like, that's just like... I was born into a family with resources.
Exactly the point. That's what I'm saying. It's not a bad thing to be a rich kid. And it's not it's not an insult. It is actual. When do naibeba kama insult?
No, but you said Madame Bougie. You didn't say... Like, you said Madame Bougie. So, like...
Yeah. Like, it's not a bad thing. It is, like,
Give an
genuinely.
example.
Acha niseme. Karibu nikuulize, when was the last time ulipanda matatu? Na usiniambie kwako hakuna matatu zinaenda kwako. Kuna matatu zinaenda kwako. Even the thought of you being in a matatu is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Exactly the point. So it's not that it's a bad thing.
I used to take matatus at a time in
How
my
many
life.
years ago? And I'm saying it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Being bougie. I'm just saying I don't think I ever thought I'd be like, yeah, this is too much. Like in my... I'll be like, yeah, me at least be like, I'm like, can you just be normal? Like a normal human being?
Yeah, but you see, so then does that mean that there are like times where my quote unquote being bougie is like not a hindrance, but yeah.
Nah, I'm used to it. Like I think squeeze hata niko tu sawa. Like I already know, like there's certain things I'm like, yeah, more nitafanya hivyo. Like we just move on with life. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
But I try new experiences. No?
Yeah. Tumebakisha kukupandisha matatu,
but I can. It's not that I'm incapable of entering matatu. Like I can. Like it's not a foreign... I used to enter matatus. I used to take buses. I used to take Welcan Sacco, that's Westlands Kawangware. I used to take Kileton, that's Kileleshwa Lavington. See, I even know the names of the Sacco. So I'm not lying.
How many years ago was that?
Maybe 9, 10.
Also, I think also is... I'm not saying you're westernized, but you're westernized.
Yeah, that I'll claim. That one I will take.
Exactly.
I'm white.
So that's what I'm saying.
in there a
When
little bit.
I'm saying you're bougie, it's not an insult. It's just based on upbringing and circumstances in life. You ended up being bougie. So yeah.
Okay, it's fine. I guess. Yeah. But now I feel like I'm going not overthink, but like there'll be moments where I'll be like, is this me being
I have
I
told you
don't
you're
know.
bougie so many times.
No, but not in that. Like Madame Bougie is like huge. Like it's a term. It's
Really?
like
No,
yeah, it's like you're
but
the
it's
queen
not
of
that
bougie
deep.
people. Okay, to me it is, but no, but now I understand. Like at least I think yeah. I think
We'll sort it out off camera.
yeah, pillow talk tonight. Yeah. Yeah.
Eh. Like, huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think we want to segue from the conversation that we had in the last episode about friendships. And we want to like now delve deeper in what is a kingdom friendship, what is a covenant friendship, and what is a worldly friendship. Because just because it's a kingdom friendship doesn't mean it's a covenant friendship. So yeah, but before we get into that, I have a question. It's an ice,
Okay.
no, an icebreaker, but say, per
Mm-hmm.
se, hey, my lord. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
um, what do you think in this season God has been teaching you?
Eh,
Just
a
one lesson,
lot.
because yeah, He's always teaching 50 things at once. But
Yeah. Related to friendship or just
no,
life in general?
eh,
I think he's teaching me. You know how when we pray and we're like, Lord, wherever you send me, I will go, Lord, use me. I think he's teaching me that there are aspects of my life in this season that are not about me. It's about the people he's sending me to, it's about the people he's allowed to have access to my life. And so it's now being very conscious of, yes, like I'm not gonna get anything. Like, okay, let me give an example. Like sometimes my brother will call me and then he'll be like, oh, do you want to do this and that? And I'm like, what's in it for me? Not because like I only do things because there's something in it for me, but like sometimes like you're like, but like if you know, and so now in this season, God is teaching me that there's gonna be a lot of things that He's gonna have me do that is more of service than it is like a two-way street where like we're both giving, we're both receiving. And yeah, so I just have to be very, very intentional about being like, yeah, I'm here to pour out into this person. I'm here to be this person to them and to show up for Jesus in place of Jesus in this way. And yeah, what about you?
I think, well, I don't know. I think He's teaching me to let go. Um, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest lessons because I feel like I have held on to so many things, and not in terms of okay, they're not even at it. I wouldn't say deep things, but I like before I decide to let go, we have fought. So now I think of late has been teaching me like I just teach you to let go. It's gonna like you will not die. Like just let things go. Um, when sometimes when it comes to serving in ministry, like I think I am genuinely a servant at heart. Like me, I love serving. Like and also because of the way I have been brought up as a pastor's kid. Okay, so there's this reel. We segue into that. Kuna hii reel flani. There's this reel that I saw about you being a pastor's kid when your father's church is starting. One hand is on the piano, the other one is on. There's a mic here, you singing, and then the other one is fixing the sound. I was like, yeah, that is the life of a pastor's kid. Like you can serve anywhere and everywhere. So I think because of that, I started serving in church when I was young. Yeah, like and there was a time I was sitting down and trying to remember. I was like, I really started serving when I was like, and that's what I know my whole life. So now I have found myself in situations where I've had to let go, and it has not been easy. So I think that is what, for me, especially in this was like, yeah, just let go. You will not die. I can promise you, Abigail, you will not die. So yeah, it's been that is one of yeah. Oh God, I feel like I'm dying. You will not die. Just move on. Are you breathing? Okay, then move on. You'll be fine. So yeah, I think that's what he's been teaching me. Just learning to let go of things, even things that seem good. Deciding, yeah, it's fine. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's not that it's not a God thing, but just you'll be fine.
Mm,
Like you said, yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah.
And I think that could be a message to you out there listening. You've been holding on to things, and God is like, let them go. They could be good, they could be bad, it could be trauma, it could be like something that you're like, this is such a beautiful friendship, this is such a beautiful relationship. What do you mean I have to walk away? And you have to walk the journey of trusting that God is saying, if I'm asking you to let go, I have better on the other side. I have so much more
Mm.
for you that you will never be able to receive because you've refused to let go of the little that you think is like the end all be all. So it's just, yeah, a message to you, like, go sit with the Lord and be like, Lord, what is it that I'm holding on to that you're saying, if you had just trusted me and let go of this, I can show you a whole new world and so many more things that I actually have prepared for you. So yeah.
Yeah. And also, letting go doesn't mean it has to be easy. It doesn't mean that you have to be okay with letting go. You just decide to trust God. Because I think today I had posted on my Instagram before I left Instagram. Anyways, I had posted that obedience is not always easy, but it's worth it in the end. Because when you look at, God knows the bigger picture, honestly. Sometimes you look at it from this perspective, like, but and then what will I do? It's like, yeah, just let go. Like in the near future, you'll understand why. It's like, yeah, I needed you to let go. So I'm not saying that it's gonna be easy for you to let go. I'm not gonna tell you that you won't feel pain. You will not cry yourself at night, or you will not feel the need to go back. But just choose to trust God and choose to go through the process, because I feel like, okay, maybe nakwanga mimi peke yangu, me I shut down easily, like ndazima na niende. But then, and also I feel like even as Christians, we have not been taught to actually go through the process. We have been told to live in the result, that yeah, you need to be fine. But there's always those moments of like, I'm not fine. And I'm really trying to be fine. And there's a place of acknowledging that, let the weak say I am strong. So the place of you sitting down with God and be like, yeah, I don't like it in this space, but okay, I choose to trust you. I choose to let go. So yeah, let go of whatever God is telling you to let go, and just trust that He has the best plans at heart for you. I feel to so fast.
Ah.
Yeah. So kingdom, well,
Yeah. I think I think maybe I could speak to like worldly friendships.
start by defining what that is according to you.
I think according to me, a worldly friendship is one that's like it just draws you to the world. Cause like let's be real, right? There's only two sides. It's you're on God's side or you're on the devil's side. And the world is on the devil's side. The desires of the flesh and all of that are worldly, and they lean more towards the sin nature, which leads us to the lake of fire, which is where the enemy is headed, right? And he's trying to take as many of humanity as he can with him. And so I feel like I could maybe say also there's a difference between a worldly friend and a worldly friendship. So a worldly friend could be someone who like them they're in the world, right? But then you are, you're a believer and everything. So your friendship might not necessarily be worldly, but they are living their life in the world and you're living your life in Christ, right? But then a worldly friendship is where now you're both like just in the world. Like you're calling each other to party, to do this, to do that. Like you're not encouraging each other towards Christ. It's about have like we're here for a good time, not a long time, YOLO and all of that. I'm not saying those things are only used by people who are in the world, but they're things that like facilitate that thing for, but like why not have fun today? Who knows about tomorrow and things like that. So yeah, what do you think about worldly friendships?
Same. Because I feel like, yeah, you have explained it. Because in my, I think it's actually one and the same. Because what I'm thinking about is when you can be a Christian, but like you're in a worldly friendship, because you find, there's an example. No, I'll go for an example. Anyways, that when the people in church, when they give a testimony of you, your friends cannot recognize who that person is. They're like, you're a totally different person when you're around us. I feel like that is also an example of you're actually in a worldly friendship, because if you can't be who you are in Christ around your friends, why can't you be who you are?
Mm.
Because it might be that something is hindering you from actually being who God has called you, not who God, actually who you are supposed to be in
Yeah.
Christ. Because if you are with your friends and you're going out to club to do all these things, and there you cannot represent Christ, then there's actually something wrong with that friendship, because you don't have to pretend to be someone else. If you have to pretend to be someone else in a friendship, then there's something wrong with that friendship.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think also like that could also speak to like lukewarmness in Christ, because I feel like that's like one of the like the areas where it's very easy to think like just because I go to church on Sunday, you know, I'm not like worldly or I'm not in the world, right? So like I can give an example. Like I was telling her about this before we started filming, and like there was a season in my life when I was in Aussie. And we used to like have a Bible study like every Friday. So like we were very not every Friday, I think it was every other or every like we used to, yeah. It was in one of my friend's house. And so we'd have Bible study and we would genuinely like I wouldn't say we would soak, but like we would generally like discuss the word and encourage each other and pray over each other and all of those things. But then as soon as that was done, like it was time to party. Like it was like, okay, who's getting the drinks, who's getting this? And so and that was like normal to us. Like obviously we all knew we were lukewarm, but like that's the thing where it's like just because like you're in Bible study, just because you're in church, just because you're around other people who are Christians does not mean your friendship is not worldly. And so like for me, I would say like those were worldly friendships, because at the end of the day, yes, there was an aspect of God, but the day to day, the Monday to Sunday, or with a sprinkle of Friday night Bible study, like it was all about having a good time and all of those things. So yeah. Have you been in worldly friendships?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, because funny enough, I think I had said this in the previous episode. For the better part of my life, my huge, my the biggest chunk of my friends have been from church, and at least for those ones, it was those people that we had a testimony of each other. Like if you went and told me that, oh, she did this, I'll be like, nah, she can't do that. But if you told me she did something, ukiniambia, she went and slept around, I'll be like, no, she didn't. Ukiniambia alipiga mtu, ndakwambia hiyo ni ukweli, hiyo anaweza kuwa alimpiga. So it's like we had a testimony of each other. I knew, or we both knew this one, they struggle here. This one, they struggle here. So we knew, I will say that we knew each other, and I wouldn't say that we shared everything, but we had a testimony of each other's salvation. So, and we were always pulling each other to Christ. So that one, I will say, my biggest part of my friendships in life have been kingdom friendships. But I will say in school, wow, I had a friend in campus. Yeah, he's actually he got baptized after we finished. I was, actually thought it was a prank. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, this is the sense of I had been praying for his salvation. I was like, when he sent me the photo, I was like, huh? What do you mean you got saved? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm really trying to believe you, but I promise you, it's so hard to believe you. Because I'm like, yeah, not that one. I wouldn't say, was it a worldly friendship? Because no, I don't think it was. I feel like I've always been kind of firm in my stand. Yeah. But let's just say when it came, there are situations where I will not talk about them publicly.
One
that,
day.
yeah, the situations probably of like, yeah, I was influenced by my worldly friends. And yeah, tried out the world a bit and then realized, yeah, when the Lord has put a leash on you, there's nowhere you're going. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've had worldly friends around you, but you've
I
always
still
been the
do.
one that stands firm in
Yeah. Because,
this is
funny
my
enough,
journey.
even when I put my family on the spot, but even when I'm, let's say, around family, um, family my age, I'm not going to say how we are related, but just not family my age. Um, Normally, if we are going out and they're drinking, they will never, like, they know I will not drink. And so it's always that thing of, wacha huyu atakunywa, mpeni maji yake. Ama utakunywa Predator leo? Mwambie, "Hapana, I'm just okay." Or carry my water bottle. So they're like, yeah. So I think also that has helped me, because me for a long time I either associate with, let's say, my family, like my cousins, or I never used to be those people of going out. Like I've never like, okay, I love traveling. But going out, before nitoe kwa nyumba yangu, kai, I don't like getting out. So we'll only go out if I'm meeting up with like my cousins or my family, or now with my friends from church. I was always in church. So yeah, in a way, when I'm with my family, it's like, yes, we will go out, but yeah, I will always be the sober one, always. And it was always this ones of I would, yeah, I was always the sober one. Funny enough, yeah, I still am always the sober one. Okay, and I was like, wow, guys, it's like, yeah, she can simu everything. So we know that when Abigail is there, we're gonna arrive safely because the Lord loves her. We're gonna get there. So yeah, but I don't go out. Yeah, it's just I don't even know how to explain it. It's the sense of did you explain? Like I feel like if I explain, I'm gonna put a lot of people on the spot. But let's just say, okay, still something. Honestly, I'm gonna say I struggle with is and not putting the. Sorry, I don't know how to put the balance between family and God in terms of um, let's say we are going out as a family, but where we are going is not necessarily not a good place, a good representation. So I always struggle with that balance of so I won't hang out with my family because of that. And like even when I go to hang out with them, I am genuinely not doing anything wrong. Like we're literally tunapiga story. Tukimaliza kupiga story, they do their thing. I feel like you're judging me from my story.
I'm just listening.
Yeah. So yeah, like we'll hang out, we'll story tell the whole time. Um, yeah, we play games and then everyone goes home. But then now the problem is usually um, if I am there, if someone who has seen me in church finds me there, what will be their testimony of me? So that's usually a really huge fight because I'm like, but God, at the same time, I'm just like, imagine me, I can't like say I'm not hanging out with my family because of, you know, at the end of the day, it's not, this is not even sadistic. When I imagine if something like, mna venye, so once we lost a friend of ours, tulienda mazishi. Unajua mazishi, marafiki wako wanaendanga mazishi yako kama road trip. I'm like, yeah, the people who will be left grieving is my family, not everyone else. So there's that. But yeah, I have had a weird, I don't, with worldly friends.
Yeah. I think that's very interesting because like there's multiple things that I want to pick on, but I'm gonna speak to like the way you were saying like, okay, God, so am I not gonna hang out with my family because, and I'm not gonna say that maybe He is calling you to a place where, like guys, if we're gonna hang out, we don't have to hang out in such places because that's the thing. Like God could be using you as the odd one out. Who I mean, we are called to stand up, you know, and like that could be what draws them to a place of oh yeah we can actually hang out in a different setting, still have a good time, still enjoy family time, still bond, and quote unquote represent Christ. But it doesn't mean that. And so like the way you said, it's a balance thing that only you and God can figure out because in different seasons He might call you to show up differently in their lives as well. um but yeah, but that thing for your friends will come for your funeral as a road trip, I think. Anyway, yeah, friendship is broad and different people have different perspectives of what friendship is. So, yeah. But yeah, I think also you've touched on kingdom friendships and I think yeah, like the whole thing is like it's grounded in God. Like if these people are not drawing you nearer to God, then it's not a kingdom friendship. The same way in the world, if they're drawing you into the world, then it's a worldly friendship. With kingdom, it's yeah. And so I think maybe I could speak to my journey. I don't know that I've ever actually had kingdom friendships. Like now that I think about it, obviously, like I mentioned in the previous episode, I grew up in a Christian home, so Jesus was always there. He was always accessible. But there's a lot of religion. It was like, oh, you're going to church or you're giving your tithe, like, you know, things like that. Because for me, like tithe is like from when we were kids. Like, I used to know if you're given 100 bob, 10 bob, you're going to give on Sunday. Like,
Really?
yeah. And so I think for me, most of my friends, like, yeah, there are friends who like would go to church together, but then as you've had, would always go in a different direction. So I think this might actually be my first like proper experience with like a kingdom friendship. Um Obviously first of many, but yeah, like I don't know. It's different, definitely, because like there's times where we're just seated across each other. So like this is actually the setup at my house. On the couch, I'm usually on this side and she's usually on that side. And sometimes we're just seated and we're all doing our own things, and I'm like, oh, like the Lord is saying, and like it's such a normal occurrence. And like you wouldn't have that in a friendship that's not a kingdom friendship. Like you wouldn't just be seated in a room and you're like hearing from the Lord for your friend. Like, I don't know. Maybe you guys out there, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
I've had, yeah, me, I've just had kingdom friends around me, honestly. And I feel like I have not been intentional, but I think you see the way people are a testimony of restoration. Let's say, like for you, you're a testimony of restoration. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
testimony of preservation. And I think for the longest time, I really struggled with that because I'm like, you see, everyone has such an interesting story of how they came to God. Guys, me, I was always in, like, I can't even explain that I've had. There was a time where I went and I was in the world, I was doing, ha, the Lord put a chokehold on me, you're not going anywhere. So I feel like for a really, really long time, I really struggled with my testimony being a testimony of preservation. That you don't have to experience the world for you to be in God. Because for people will always be like, but you haven't tested the world, so you don't know if that's for you or not. And God had to really teach me and like debunk it that imagine it's okay that you don't have to taste the world for you to be like, hey, I don't want it. So because of that, God has really been intentional about the people around me. And also me, I'm just, I can talk to everyone and anyone, but I just, so because of that, also the good thing, it's not an advantage. I hope everyone knows how to make friends. Of me not knowing how to make friends, me unless you talk to me, you're not gonna talk. Um, yeah. So because of that, I've really like I've maintained the same circle all my life. So even those ones who come, they're just like wako in the outer circle. So if you make it to the inner circle, well and good for you. But other than that, we can just have stories and everything. So yeah, I think I've always had kingdom friendships. And also because I've always been in church. Like, yeah, 90% of the time I'm in church. So because of that, wale tu tuko nao ni wa kanisa, but I think, oh, this is also another thing that you mentioned about just because you're Christians and you go to church doesn't mean it is a kingdom friendship. It can be a worldly friendship, but you're still in church. I never realized that. You see the way they say the church is a hospital. Yeah, I didn't realize it until I was like, because I think my whole nini of that's what I'm saying we really need to debunk Christianity and demystify all the myths because I think my whole life, me always knew if we are all going to church, we're all saved. Until I went to church, I'm like, guy, like, what do you mean? Yeah, I think that was a really, honestly, that was a really huge shock for me. Like when I changed churches, I think kila siku, me, I'm not gonna lie, I used to judge a lot.
So what are you trying to say about trained citizens?
No, I think, you see, I'm not saying, oh my God,
No, I'm not saying you
guy.
said something bad, but like it's just
Is the thing of now I can see even like the level of pretense that people can go to make it look so perfect. Because me, I will say honestly, me, I grew up in a sheltered environment when it came to to God.
yeah.
Like I knew we're all going to church, we're all living for God. Because from a young age, I knew the do's and don'ts. So I'm not gonna go doing things that I do not please God. And the people around me were the same. So me, I knew everyone is like the same. That you can't go be like we can't be in church and we're going out and we're doing all these things and then coming on Sunday. Because all of us were the same in that context. So now I come out and I'm like, we are not the same. Well, I was like, oh, so actually people do live double lives.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was actually a huge shocker for me because I was like, wow. So actually people do live double lives. Like, kai, sisi achana. Si ni ile, if you know someone is struggling with alcohol, we all know you're struggling with that. Okay, not everyone in church, but as your friends, you know you're struggling with alcohol. But doesn't mean that you are not like you're not on fire for God or must join in. Like it's not something you are consciously doing. It's a struggle that you're having. So I was like, wow, hey guy, yuko nje. And so now, like the more I went out and interacted with people from like people who are Christians, sometimes it'll be like someone is like is a Christian. So the time we were at a garden-ish, and we I don't know, we were shooting something. And so I met he's let's say he's a well-known person and a apparently he's a prophet of God. Um, so having that conversation, and I don't know how we ended up talking. And the whole time they were smoking shisha. And then he was telling us about how he doesn't find it wrong and everything. And in my head, I was just like, okay. I think then it dawned on me, wow, we are very different guys. And so now I started giving more grace to people. Because me I was like, guy, mbona, why are you leaving? Like, guy, mbona unafanya hivo? I think because I was like, I just never expected someone will do that. Or people will like live double lives. Or yeah. So it became a thing of now I have come to understand that everyone is on their own journey with God. Number one, it doesn't excuse what people do, but it's understanding that is a story that Apostle Angie shares about her journey with God, that for her it took her so many years for her to be completely delivered and everything. I was like, yeah, so actually I think that was the one story that actually made me see it from a perspective of, yeah, everyone is on a different journey with God. Because I think in my head I was like, I thought everyone was just like the way as we were brought up. Yeah.
And I think one thing, like it's come to my memory when you were speaking about, like, first of all, I think it's absolutely beautiful that yours is a testimony of preservation,
Yeah.
because I remember now, different church, different, like, this is now when I was serious about Jesus, and I was part of, like, I'd say connect, but we used to call them life groups because the church was called Life Church. Okay, is called Life Church. And there was a time, I don't know what we were speaking about, and the conversation turned into like just kind of talking about like our journeys, like, because there's like one of us was saying how, like, for her, she's the only one who like is in Christ. Like her mother, her grandmother, everyone around her has never been in Christ and everything. And so at some point we were going around talking about, like, our journeys. Like for me, I'm like, my grandfather was like a treasurer at his church. My parents have always been in church. Like I've never experienced like my family being in the world, quote unquote. And we remember, like, I just remember, like, in that conversation, like the point was, we were leading up to, we're praying that our children will have a boring testimony, that our children will be like, you know what, I've known Christ since I was 5, like, and that is their testimony, and that is enough. Because like, as people who either have grown up, because a lot of them had not grown up in Christ, or they were lukewarm and everything, like, we can all testify to, like, it's not like, it's not worth it. It's like, it's fun, but it's not like, it's not worth it. It's draining. It's all of those things. And so yeah, like, I think for me, my prayer is still the same. Like, I pray that my children will have a boring testimony, because that means that, like, maybe I did my part in terms of whether it is intercession and all of that, but also that God actually journeyed with me on that journey of, like, Lord, I asked for you to just keep them, like, keep them for yourself, and he actually did that. And so yeah. And also, your journey as a pastor's kid remaining in church is very, like, rare.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of pastors' kids are like, I did it by force, I'm done.
Yeah.
A lot of them end up being atheists. Like, it takes a while for them to even come back to the faith. So I think it's also a beautiful thing, just that, to know that your journey has, yeah, like, the Lord truly, like, has
Has-
preserved you for
Yeah,
himself.
because I'm thinking, I don't think I've ever had a desire to be in the world. And of course, like as a pastor's kid, nafikanga mahali, you're just like, imagine if I want to enjoy life. I'm like, because, funny enough, everywhere I have gone, people will refer me as a pastor's kid. To the point, I stopped acknowledging myself as a pastor's kid. Because everyone's like, oh, mtoto wa pastor. I'm like, hey, guys, I have a whole different identity outside of being a pastor's kid. And so I think even in campus, I can promise you my campus friends didn't know my dad was a pastor. I was like, my high school, in high school, I started leading. So we had, that has got to but in class, we used to have, especially in Form 4, we had every day after lunch from I think 1:40 to 2, we used to have like a Bible study. Not Bible study. We used to have like a session, devotion session in class. I was doing that for our class, for I think a whole year class. And it was let me tell you, they did not choose me because I was born again. It's because I was a pastor's kid. That was the reason I was put in that position. So because of that, I was like, everywhere I have gone, people have acknowledged me from being a pastor's kid. I was like, I'm done with this thing. So when we went to campus, I think unless we were really close friends, and I think I mentioned it like when I was in third year. I was like, yeah, I was like, no one is gonna know I'm a pastor's kid ever. Because I was just like, that's too much pressure. And yeah, but I don't think I've ever had a desire to be in the world per se, but I just times I'm like, God, ukinipea tu dakika moja tu.
I just need a shot.
I just need to like go and just enjoy life and come back. But then, me honestly, me I say, me my parents invested in prayers because I have stood and I'm like, if like checking the situations that I have been in, it was very easy for me to actually go astray. But then also one thing that I have learned, okay, I don't know, it comes with being a firstborn and being responsible, but the fact that I started serving when I was young, it gave me number one, if you don't serve in your local church, please start serving. Serving gives you a responsibility that and an accountability that you have to be responsible, you have to be accountable. You just can't live your life the way you want to live it because there are people you're accountable to. You're responsible for people. So I think because of that, and also in high school, me honestly, my CEO patron in high school, he really drilled not Christianity, but a relationship with God. So by the time I would have gone astray. I mean, my dad was very strict. I was not going out for sleepovers. I think even to date, even when I was in campus, what I really struggled going out, like missing classes, not because I didn't want to miss. Nile, at a classes, and then I'm like, I need to go to town. I saw I used to see my father's face everywhere. Like everyone looks like my father. So because of my dad being strict, I think the one place I would have gone astray was in campus. But because of the grounding I had in high school, I don't know, I just couldn't go out. And then I was, at the same time, I was still going to church with my father, where my father was serving. So kila Sunday tu niko na baba yangu guys. Siwezi sema sijaenda kanisa. So if I'm like, oh, I didn't go to church, like I promise you by 9 a.m. if I'm not in church, my father will be like, why are you not in church? Like mbona sikuoni? So you see, I had a very accountable nini around me. So now when I moved churches, I think that was when I would have, I don't know, but I think because of my grounding in high school, yeah, I just didn't have the nini of me ending up going astray. Now, I think if I would go astray, it will be very consciously. I'll be like, I have decided I am going astray, but not because at oh, my friends. I have had a very firm grounding growing up and knowing what is right, what is wrong, what is expected of me. And also just like and I started pursuing God when I was younger. And Kai us in high school used to fast. Guy, hey, hey, hey. See you, we used to fast. I think we fasted for every term. I can't remember the name, but I know kuna times kwa fast Monday to Friday. So you'll only eat. So our breakfast zilikuwa zinaishanga 6:05. So if you eat 5:45, you're good. But ikifika 6 kama hujakula, so we fast and then we'll break the fast. So we'll go to pray over break time, lunch time, and then before you break the fast, because our supper time used to start at 5:45. So then you go eat. So I think I was really grounded from an early age. So that's why, yeah. I'm still those I think honestly for me, God ensured I was preserved because sometimes I sit down and I think if this is the zeal that I have for God, imagine if I was in the world, guys. Me amungenitoa. Because I'm like, wow, imagine the same passion that I have if I have the same passion in the world.
No, but I think it's the same thing. Like Apostle usually says, like a lot of those people who, when they're in the world, they're the ones who like they call the party, they get everyone in the room and all of that. You'll find most of them have a calling to be an evangelist because like they have that
Facts.
gift within them, but they're just using it in the wrong kingdom. And so, yeah, I guess I hope we never get to know
Yeah.
what it would be like if you had the influence you do in the kingdom in the world. But yeah,
Yeah, Lord help us.
I hope we never know.
Yeah.
I hope we never know.
So yeah, we are talking about covenant friendships. So what do you think is a covenant friendship?
I think for me, covenant is like, okay, I know I bring up marriage a lot, and you already kind of said that you feel like this is a marriage. But in all seriousness, I believe the greatest, like the most real covenant, because obviously there was a lot of covenants in the Old Testament with God, with Abraham, God with, but then the most real and tangible one that like is actually talked about and described in scripture is like marriage, right? And so with that, like for me, my understanding is like it's a like first of all, a covenant in the kingdom is not between two people, it's between three people. If it's just the two of you and God is not there, then it's not a covenant in the kingdom. And so for me, I believe like covenant friendship, especially in the kingdom, because we've said not every kingdom friendship is a covenant friendship, but every covenant friendship should be a kingdom friendship. But also maybe in the kingdom of darkness there are covenant relationships. So let's just But so for me, I believe it's the one like one it's about what God is trying to do in I don't know why I feel like going back to marriage, but like you say, like with marriage, right?
Okay.
In marriage, a lot of people in the world, like you get into marriage for like the fun of it. I love you, I love you. We feel butterflies when we see each other. But then in the kingdom marriage is about purpose. It's about assignment. It's about in 10 years, in 15 years, the Lord is going to need to do this. And you both have to be in that covenant to be able to do that. So that's how I see covenant friendship as well. Like it's not just about, oh yeah, we have a good time. Like, we don't mind each other. We're not always fighting and all of that. It's about there's something that God has instituted. And he's like, if we journey together, the three of us, there's so much that I want to do through this. There is assignment, there is purpose. And it doesn't mean that every time there's assignment or purpose it means it's covenant. And that's why it's so important to be guided by the Lord, because you could then be covenanting yourself to people that God hasn't asked you to covenant yourself to.
Facts.
So yeah, and so I think the main thing is like God is the center of everything. Like it doesn't mean, if you feel like having a cafe cake when God said don't eat sugar, you won't do it. But
Why am I receiving jabs randomly?
but
You
it
do
just
realize you
means
also ate the cake. But yeah.
yeah, but God hasn't asked me to quit sugar because I don't have an issue with sugar. Like I'm not on that journey of quitting sugar. You see, that's the difference. Like if we left here and I was like, I'm gonna have Cinnabon, like you
I'm
should be
actually
able to
thinking
say,
about
you should be able to say, you know what, Lord, you want me to quit sugar. I had cafe cake yesterday, so I won't have Cinnabon today. Even though my friend is being used as the weapon fashioned against me and tempting me in this
actually thought
moment.
about cinnamon.
But yeah, so essentially, yeah, for me, that's what covenant friendship is. It's God is at the center. God is the one that's guiding and directing the friendship. If you asked us at the start of the year, actually, let me just like interestingly, so she's been planning to get back. She had started the podcast by herself a while back, and then it stopped. Maybe she'll speak to that. And God had been telling her, you need to get back to podcasting and all of that. And I remember when she was like, okay, I want to get back into it. For me, as a friend, obviously, I pray about her in her life and things she's doing because, yeah. But yeah, so like one thing the Lord told me about it was like you'll partner with her on like the podcast and everything. So I was like, oh yeah, like I'm happy to provide every resource, I can partner financially and everything. And I was comfortable in that role, right? Because I am a giver, and so that's like it's not a big deal to me personally. And then the journey now led to this year when I was in conversations with God, and He was kind of hinting to like podcasting and me being a part of it. But I was like, nah, I'm just thinking about my own things, whatever. And then on the sideline, I'm like pushing her. I'm like, yo, the podcast, what's the journey? Have you started figuring this out and everything? And then one day, surprisingly, like she was at her house, I was at my place. No, at that time I was still at my mom's house. Yeah. So we were separate. And we were both actually praying and seeking the Lord about like, okay, what's the plan moving forward? And the Lord told us both that, yeah, like you guys are gonna like the first assignment is you're gonna start the podcast together. And obviously he revealed a lot more things. But like for me, I remember I just told God, I was like, if it's you and not me, because I actually don't even want to do it, because maybe that should have been the sign that it was God. You're gonna like she's going to reach out to me. The next morning, she texted me and she was like, we need to talk. And I was like, and then when she started the conversation, I was like, if you say what I think you want to say, I'm going to throw my phone across the room. I didn't do that. But yeah, so like it's now something like that where we would have never imagined that the Lord was bringing us together for something like this. But because we allowed the Lord to guide the friendship in where He wants it to go, because this is not about us, it's not about platform. I couldn't care for a platform. I think I have 100 followers, and I already feel like it's too much. Like there's a time in my life that I only had 4 followers, and I was so content. I never used to post anyway. I still okay now. I kind of post because the Lord, but yeah, and so like it's one of those things where it's definitely God led and God ordained. And so yeah, but what would you say like you think covenant friendship is, and like what do you draw from maybe?
Imagine is that one. Like I'm like, yeah, because I think what I will just add is a covenant. You see, I think about a covenant between God and Abraham. It was a one-sided covenant because God is the one who walked in between the Nini. And it was up to God to make sure that he fulfilled the covenant, that Abraham did not need to do anything. For him, it was when umeingia kwa hiyo covenant peke yako. So I beg, you're the one who you have involved yourself, so you're gonna fulfill it. And so it didn't matter, like the level of sacrifice that goes into it has to be a sacrifice you're willing to pay, because it's not gonna. And I think also the moment there's assignment and the moment it's a king, like it's a covenant friendship, the warfare is gonna be there.
Ooh, preach,
So
sis.
is for you to be like, yeah, will I push through when things get hard? It's for you to be like, yeah, there's sacrifice that is needed, and you're gonna actually focus, and I'm gonna sacrifice what is required, whatever God needs of me, I'm gonna do it. And yeah, me honestly, I think every time I think about covenant, I think about sacrifice, because even let's give an example. For God to send his son, it was the greatest sacrifice of all time. But it's because the level of love that he had for us, also covenant requires love.
So do you love me?
You don't think I do?
That's not the question.
Of course I do. I tell you I love you, but then wacha tu nisifungue roho. We shall discuss later. Yeah, let's just
No,
say
but I respond though.
let's pretend we did not have the. Let's just say one day, guys, when the Lord makes it happen, I will come and testify. Okay, not the point. I'm sorry, but yeah, um, why are you laughing? See, it's true. Imagine. Anyways, yeah. So I think when I think about a covenant friendship, what comes to mind, sacrifice and love. Because when we look at David, we can say go to David and Jonathan. There's a statement that every time makes me inafanyanga nashtuka when it comes to covenant is, David, Jonathan, it said of Jonathan, I can't remember, iko first Samuel, that Jonathan loved David as his own soul. Yeah, think about that. He did not just love him because he was David. He loved him the way he loved himself. The things he could do for himself, he could do for David. Like thinking about the fact that Jonathan knew that, listen, this guy is going to come take my throne. This guy, my dad wants to kill him. I am ready to to have a rift with my dad over this person. And David did not tell. Jonathan was the one who entered the covenant with David. David was vibing. He was running away. Jonathan was the one who was like, yeah, God is my witness that if something happens to you, if my dad causes harm to you, then let it be so concerning me and my generations. So it's the one, yeye ndo alijingisha ngori. Like, so you can imagine, and it says that Jonathan loved David as his own soul. So thinking about if that is our depiction of a covenant friendship, covenant relationship even, it goes back to even God, that God loves us as his own soul, that he gave up him. Let's say he gave up himself, because Jesus is God personified.
Yeah.
He gave up himself to ensure that we are not doomed. So if you think about that level of sacrifice, you have to think twice before entering a covenant with someone. You're like, is this a person who I will genuinely die for?
I'll take a bullet for you.
Oh,
I actually would.
me not go for bullets.
Guys, I think
Same.
we're not.
I was about to sing a song. You know what I've remembered? This the song that says, "I'll catch a grenade for you." I said that is what has hit my head. I'm like, yeah,
So you would catch a grenade for me? No.
I will take a bullet for you. I would actually. I don't know why you. I know I
have
don't look
trust issues,
serious.
guys. I think you can understand why. Like, she doesn't seem convinced about what she's saying.
No, the thing is,
So-
that's what I'm saying. Like me, you will think I'm never serious, but I promise I am. I genuinely would. If you come in the middle of the night, tell me you need, I'll take a Buddha from my brain.
We need to free you from the shackles of you and Buddha Buddhas.
No, genuinely, Buddha is a very easy means of transport.
I don't refuse, but why would you take a Buddha in the middle of the night? There's no traffic.
Oh,
Like, why would you take
yeah.
a Buddha at 2 a.m? Like,
Because
what
it's
is
faster.
the reason? No, it's not faster. If there's no traffic, a car will arrive. maybe in the same time, maybe faster.
Yeah. So that, but no, you una nini you're like nilikuwa na pen expression, yeah, how much I love.
Ah,
But yeah, and I've even forgotten my train of thought. Yeah. But I think I will say that is a covenant friendship.
yeah.
Sacrifice, love. Also, I will say recognizing what the other carries. Because when it comes to Jonathan, he was the rightful heir, but he understood that this throne belongs to David. And so he would have fought him. It would have been a competition, but he chose to be in alignment with what God was doing and recognize that he's not just David, that this is not just my friend, but actually honoring what they carry.
I think also, in like the way you're saying, like with recognition, it also calls for like how you show up in your friendship. Like for me, I think one thing that has been very loud in the past couple of maybe weeks is like my need to go deeper in intercession for you because of the role you play in the kingdom. Oh, you want me to like break it down?
I'm like, I don't think I want to break it down in public. like,
But yeah, and so like now that's the thing with like recognition. It's not just about like, oh yeah, there's certain spaces where I'll like accord her like more honor or whatever, but it's about even behind closed doors, even in the secret place, like how are you showing up for that other person based on the like understanding that you have. Like let's say this is, it's not about us, but like let's say it's a friendship where one person is going on a journey where now the Lord is like releasing them, like, you know, go into the world and do all these things. And this other person could be like, oh yeah, I'm so happy for you, and they're genuinely happy, but in that season God is actually calling them to, you know, go deeper in prayer or to support them in a different way that they might not have thought about if they didn't sit with the Lord and be like, what does she need out of me as a friend in this season? And so yeah, so in terms of like recognition and everything, I think it's also very important to be conscious, because we said this is a journey that we're taking with God. Be conscious of what God is calling you to do in that season, not just for yourself, but for your friend based on the journey that they're on. And so, yeah, but I think I'm like, I want to, I'm curious to know, do you feel like you could point out maybe like certain ways in which now that we recognize that this is a covenant friendship, that like we're called to show up for each other differently, or ways in which like things have just happened that it wouldn't otherwise be if we were just like vibing and
okay, tuseme, the fact that, number one, both of us love our own spaces.
oh yes.
I love being in my house. Like, I'm not kidding. I leave my house when I'm going to church. Like, I can be in my house Sunday to Sunday. Like, ndatoka Sunday asubuhi nikienda kanisa. Ama Saturday nikienda set up. I love being in my house. And I love being alone. Like, just being in my space. And she also loves being in her space.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But then somehow, we found ourselves so comfortable in each other's space that we don't actually, like, yeah, we are very nile. Like, we can be in the same space and doesn't feel like you're in someone's space. Yeah, so I think that that's how it looks for us
Yeah.
in this season.
I think also just to speak to that, it's the fact that like we both have our own houses, but she's always in my house. I remember there's a time she was at my house for like 2 weeks, and then she was like, oh, tomorrow I'm leaving, and then I'm even gonna go to my mom's house, so I'm gonna come back after weeks. The next day, like not 2 days, the next day,
That was
she
not
was back
my
in my house,
fault.
and she hasn't left since. So
No, let me explain. That one, me coming. Sasa shida ni I can't put the person who made me come back on the spot because I had a meeting that day.
yeah.
Who was I meeting that day? Forgotten.
No, I do remember.
Yes, exactly.
However, you still had an option to go home after the meeting.
We were finishing at around 1240. We're finishing. So we had, let me say, we had a meeting. So I had a meeting, and then we used to have the services at night, and then a lot of things happened. And then by the time I was finishing my day, it was 12 a.m.
When I met you, Abbie, you would leave town at 1 a.m. and
I still would leave out
journey
town.
to your house in the middle of the night. So see, it's an excuse again. Which we're not saying it's a bad thing that you're always at my house. You're always welcome at my house. Like, you know that.
She's making it seem like, niliona reel fulani jana. there's always one who has never seen the other person's house and then who's always at their house. This is that friendship, guys, I can promise you.
I think I've been to your house once.
Yeah.
I've dropped you home and then I've been to your house once for like a couple hours. So I know I live. No. Have you ever invited me to your house and I didn't come?
I don't want you in my house right
Thank you.
now.
So it's not about me, right? Evidently, it's about it's
You
not
have
like,
you ever invited me to your house? I just
no,
show
but you're
up in
always
your
here.
house. What are we talking about? I'm
No,
just
but
saying.
also I think the point is like even with like covenant friendship, like it'll show in such small things with how like me, if you asked me, I'd rather be by myself 24/7. And same for her. But in this space, somehow, like we're just always together and it's okay. Like it doesn't feel like we're in each other's space. It doesn't feel like it's not like I live in a 5 bedroom mansion. Like, it's just a 1 bed. But like we make it work and it's beautiful. And so covenant friendship doesn't mean that like it's always serious, like we're always just meeting and praying and asking the Lord like what are you trying to do. Like we have fun, like we said, we in our previous episode we have a 5 month bucket list of things we want to do and try out. The reason it's a 5 month bucket list, maybe one day in one of the pods you'll find out, but yeah. but but we're enjoying the journey. I think the point is enjoy the journey and yeah, just be intentional. Ask the Lord how he wants you to show up for the other person, whether it's a kingdom friendship, whether it's a covenant friendship, because at the end of the day, like everyone wants to be shown up for, but not everyone is willing to show up for the other. And so yeah, don't think for do unto others as you would like done unto you. And also, if you're currently around worldly friends, yes, you might be the one who's standing firm like Abbie, and you're like, oh yeah, like I'm the one bringing them to Christ. But sometimes the Lord will say, absolutely not. Like that's not where I want you to be. Because even scripture says, like, bad company corrupts good morals. As Apostle Joshua Selman would say, if you're counting 5 fools, you're counting
Around
wrong.
you,
There's six
there's
of you.
6 of you.
And
Yeah.
so be very careful because God could have you in that space where he wants you to be discipling others to him, but he could be calling you to a place where he's like, no, this where you're going, they can't go with you. And so yeah, I think we're calling everyone to a time of reflection and think about what friendship means to you, what it has meant. Maybe you've learned something new and you're like, hey Lord, let's talk about this. And then yeah, see where you go from there.
I think I'll just read what I had written in my notes. There's a quote by Miles Monroe that says, if the purpose of a thing isn't known, abuse is inevitable. So in every friendship that you're in, if you do not know the purpose of the friendship, you will abuse it. So you have to understand that you're never just there for the sake. That for you to be there, there's like you being there, there's a reason why you're there, especially if you are in the kingdom, there's a reason why you're there. He did not make a mistake. He knows why you're there. So if you don't know the purpose, you'll be there for vibes. And when that season ends, you'll have nothing to show for it. Whether you are the one who was supposed to show up or you're the one who was supposed to be shown up for, you'll have nothing to show. And also, last thing, have a standard for who you consider your friend. I think it's something I have learned over the last couple of years. You see, the same way when it comes to romantic relationships, you have a list of this one. Okay, the things are but the way you don't stoop low when it comes to you looking for a partner, a romantic partner, don't stoop low when you're looking for a friend. Because that's where most of us fail. Because imagine, I think we are old enough to understand that it's okay for you to be an acquaintance with someone. It's okay for them to be just a person that you know. It's okay for them to be your colleague. It's okay for them to be your churchmate. Just because you go to the same church doesn't mean you have to be friends. And once you have understood that, and once you have created a standard of, we can't be friends if this and this and this and this, then, like, why wouldn't you go for just anyone to be your partner? But when it comes to friends, you are friends with every person. So yeah, also have a standard and don't create the standard from a carnal perspective, but just ask God. Like have the bare minimum. Like just have the bare minimum of, yeah, if I want a friend who we can pray together, who we can do these things together, who is able to stand in the gap for me. I think about the leper. Alikuwa the leper ama alikuwa the layman who was brought in by the 4 friends. Do you like can that be your standard of a friend? That at times, if you do not like someone who you can ride on their faith, if you do not have faith, that someone who will stand in the gap for you. Because this man, he had no way of approaching Jesus. Like the whole place was full and everything. Like they went, that the level of sacrifice, mulienda mkatoa mabati ya mtu. Like you removed the mabati for someone, you found out a way to lure him just right where Jesus was. The level of sacrifice, the level of love, the level of commitment, them standing in the gap, ensuring that this man did not have faith. Yeah, the friends had faith for him. They're like, you will go there and you'll get healed. And God looked at the faith of his friends. So, like, which type of friends do you have around you? And which type of friend are you? So are you that, I'm not saying are you that lame one, but when the people who you consider your friends write a list of their friends, will you be among that list? So yeah, think about that. See if you are that friend, if you have those friends. If not, just pray about it and ask God to give you friends that are in accordance to his will, friends that he has ordained for you, whether he has ordained for you in this season, whether he has ordained for you in your lifetime. Yeah. Yeah. And also don't treat your friendships casually. The same seriousness that you treat your romantic relationships, treat your friendships.
Yeah, so I hope you take something away. I hope you actually take time to reflect. And yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow us on socials, on everything. And we'll see you on the next pod.
We are Unashamedly Saved Pod on every social media platform. Thank